Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're having an absolutely fantastic day. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. As always, a lot going on in this space, in this market, a lot of stuff to talk about as people are talking about stuff. I think it's been more than a decade, literally been more than a decade. This topic has kind of waved in and out of the cryptocurrency market. The initial idea of it didn't elicit much fear. Around 2017, it became more of like a light driving force. 2018, 2019, we barely spoke about this. 2020, early 2021, it kind of became news all over again. For those of you who do not know, I would assume you know the mythology now at this point behind Mt. Gox, Magic the Gathering online exchange. It was one of the first cryptocurrency exchanges. It was the most trusted, ironically. And basically what happened is that it was hacked multiple times. According to news and information that we, the public, received, apparently there was one person looking after one computer that had a tremendous amount of Bitcoin on it. Apparently there was a hacker who figured out that it was not protected. They began to scoop up little bits of Bitcoin and then finally one massive hoard of it at the exact same time. I believe some coins were recovered over the course of years. But the main issue was, like I said, a year or so after it happened, people expected, logically, to get their money back. Around 2017, 2018, part of the problem became that people, A, wanted their money back, but that's not the problem. It was B, the way in which that they would actually receive their money back. So a lot of the word's not creditors. I can't remember exactly what the word is. People who were trying to decide how much the people who had been stolen from were going to receive back. It caused a bit of a poop storm, because in the time that the initial theft took place, Bitcoin was, I think, under $100. So the idea was, if you had, let's say, 10 to 100 Bitcoin, these were people who were buying up rapidly when Bitcoin was barely worth anything. When it was decided that they would receive money back for the coins that they lost, the initial idea was, well, let's give them back $90 per coin that they lost. As you might have imagined, in a time where Bitcoin was at $12,000, $13,000, $14,000, $15,000 per coin, that did not sit well with a lot of people. So apparently, for the next 5 or 6 years, there needed to be a back and forth discussion as to how these people were going to get their money, as opposed to simply being like, it would be very unfair if we did not give these people the equivalent of money back to them for the coins that they lost. Herein lies the issue, and I do not care for the term FUD. It sounds like mud. It sounds like spud. It sounds like something just kind of gross. I can't really put my finger on it. Not that I want to. The issue is that there's been a gigantic panic constantly whenever this hits the news as to if these people are going to sell their coins. In the initial phases, a year after, there wasn't much panic if someone would have received their coins back and then sold them for $85, $120, $215. No one really cared, air quotes. However, when Bitcoin gets into the 5 and the potential in the future 6 figures, the screams of these people will crash the market begin to get louder and louder and louder. If you follow this channel for a long time, one, thank you. Congratulations. Thank you for subscribing. You're absolutely incredible. Two, you remember these stories. And one of the core central pieces that people continue to forget is that the larger players in this market, the Novogratz, the Raoul Pal, that other guy whose name I can't remember, who wants to buy the Hamptons. I never can remember his name. Very bold of him, for those of you who missed that. He went on TV and someone was asking him what would he do when Bitcoin's price goes higher, and he was like, I'm going to buy the Hamptons. And they were like, excuse me? And he was like, I'm going to buy the entire Hamptons. So, just imagine how much Bitcoin he has. These people have known about this sell back for a while, or give back, if you will, that the people who had these coins are going to get their coins back. There was a lot of problems with trying to just give them a US dollar equivalent, and the people said, I want my actual coins back. The news that we got around 2018, 2019, when it wasn't really in the news, it was kind of decided, or rather told to us, that behind the scenes, a lot of these coins would probably never even hit the market. That's not to say that the people who would get their coins back would not be selling, because as I said before, you can be as bullish on Bitcoin as you possibly want. If you're sitting at home, maybe making $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month, and someone's like, hey, here's $75 million, odds are you're probably going to be selling about half of them. The coins that will be sold, so we've been told by the people whose names I can't pronounce in the Hamptons, yada, yada, is that they know that these sales are going to happen. And they've told these people, if you do sell, please sell to us. So that's been one of the core things that a lot of people have forgotten. And this is why this news is even more interesting, because once again, in a history rhymes kind of event, we are getting news that the people from Mt. Gox are going to get back their money again. And I say again because every 2 or so years we get money that is going to reflow back to them. But the problem ends up being is that when we've had news before that they were actually going to get their money, it is always as we are in a bull market or as we are nearing a halving. I'm not sure who's timing it that way, but please stop, because it's quite annoying. Because as we have a lot of new people in the market who don't understand the history of Mt. Gox, these people trying to get their money back, and the people who have already made deals with them behind the scenes, that they're going to be buying their coins over the counter, a simple transfer. I transfer you money to your bank account. You simply send me these coins on a blockchain. The news now that the repayments are nigh has once again begun to spook the market. And this is very bad, because we don't need any more spooking for events that aren't really like dramatic or should not have any actual effect on the market. It's kind of like years ago, for those of you who were not here. We used to have situations where there may have been a number of people across the world who could not access Coinbase at any given time. Maybe there were too many people trying to access their servers. These people would post on Twitter and Reddit screenshots. I can't get onto Coinbase. Something's wrong with Coinbase. Can you imagine what happened to Bitcoin's price? Bitcoin's price would drop. Same exact thing for Binance. There were a lot of people who tried to get their coins off of crypto exchanges or other places because they had forgotten their password. And when they forgot their password, they went onto Twitter, they went onto Reddit, told everyone that Bitcoin had been hacked. You think I'm joking. These are real events that took place. The price would fall down because everyone was afraid that Bitcoin had got hacked. That's not how a blockchain works. One of the more famous ones, was it Peter Schiff, the gold guy? There was someone who, maybe it was the other guy, the guy from like bar sports. I don't know exactly. Anyway, Barstool. I don't remember. There was someone 3-4 years ago who mentioned online that he couldn't get to his Bitcoin. He had been a skeptic online for years. He finally bought into the market. I think a couple months later, he couldn't get into his coins, and all he wrote on Twitter for like a day and a half was scam. This is all a scam. And then it was finally revealed that he forgot his password. So, right, had to give you all that history so you really understand exactly what's happening right now, because a lot of people are making sure to kick up dust once again over something that is not that important. We will have a lot of people who get their coins back. It will not be all at once. It will take time. Some of these people will be selling. A lot of the selling will be over the counter. And it's not everyone involved in this doesn't have 75,000, 300,000 Bitcoin. Some of these people have maybe 120, maybe 45 Bitcoin. It's a whole slew of people. And we know from past, the word's not recordings, from other interviews, some of these people do plan on selling, but the idea is that they also plan on selling further down the future. Once again, the whole pizza guy theory. Nobody wants to sell at 40 when it could potentially go to $500,000. Rightio. So, Blockstream's CEO, his name is Adam Back, recently took a firm stance to address mounting concerns within the cryptocurrency community surrounding Mt. Gox's repayment plans and their potential implications for the Bitcoin market. Back's direct response aimed to dispel FUD circulating within the crypto sphere regarding this long-anticipated event. I think that people, forgive me, I think a lot of people don't have much to do in their lives, and I think sensationalism sells a lot more than actual realism. So I've even noticed a lot of times, and I used to get flack for this for some sort of way, when I write what is happening in the news in the actual title, people go, you're like clickbaiting. And it's like, no, I wrote Bitcoin went down. It was quite dramatic and something did happen to XRP. But even a lot of times that doesn't sell. So you'll notice the other crypto YouTubers with their screenshots of them like crying pieces of Bitcoin and like screaming into the camera and all this other stuff just to give you basic news. If you want people to click, you make sure that you make it as dramatic as possible, even if the news has no levels of drama that actually are there. In his statement, Adam Back questioned the rationale behind selling Bitcoin at its current market price, which hovers near 40,000. The time you look at the price, it's always something different. He emphasized the optimistic outlook driven by forthcoming ETFs and the highly anticipated Bitcoin halving event. So here's where it begins to how rich people are never really in touch with like normal people anymore? That's not a joke. Adam Back is incredibly wealthy. The idea that people would not sell their Bitcoin after waiting for a decade. Imagine you had spent $2,000 on Bitcoin a number of years ago. And that equates now to $17, $18 million or so, give or take. His rationale is that these people will receive their money back and go, I'm going to wait. I'm going to see if it goes from 40 to this number because I want to make more monies. The disconnect here is that this man is sitting on hundreds of millions. I do not know if Adam Back is a billionaire, but we can, if Justin Sun is a billionaire, we can only assume that the CEO of Blockstream is probably up there as well. So when you have billions in the bank or on the blockchain, the idea of waiting for prices to go higher means nothing to you because you own several homes. But I'm going to just predict that there are a lot of people out there who aren't billionaires, who don't have multiple homes and are waiting for their $17 million to come back, regardless of how optimistic the outlook might be for Bitcoin to go to 150K this year and or the price rises that might come from the ETFs that we have out there. Back argued that holding on to Bitcoin, often referred to as HODLING, who wrote this article? Like, did you just get into the market? Could potentially yield much higher prices in the near future. Waiting for just one more year, he suggested, could result in Bitcoin prices around 400K. Adam Back being one of the 35 people who has guesstimated that Bitcoin's price next year is going to be anywhere between 300 and 600,000 US dollars. You did not mishear me. He is a hyper Bitcoin bull, and he believes because of the ETFs, the accumulation that we've been seeing, for those of you who missed the last 4 or 5 videos, the current ETF holders makers, market makers, the people, they now have over 100,000 Bitcoin in their possession. And it is believed that if the market goes back up, the ETFs will go back up, of course, as well, as they already are doing quite well in the market. And that by sometime in March, they may have 500,000 Bitcoin. So, all that stuff that's going on. Underlining the potential benefits of a long-term investment strategy, Mr. Adam Back, he even wrote, what kind of clown with a clown emoji? These people, these are normal people. These people aren't the CEO of anything. Like these people, if you ever get a chance, I mean, it's not that it's not the most entertaining thing, but like old documentaries of what happened during Mt. Gox. I always tell people these things because we always have a lot of new people in the market. Hello to all the new subscribers as well. It pays literally to educate yourself about the past within the cryptocurrency space, the things that went right, the things that went wrong, especially so that you can also like learn a little bit. A lot of times in this channel, I've told people when new coins come out or whatever the case might be, I'm like, no, that coin's garbage. And people get really upset with me because they're like, you can't know that. And I'm like, I've seen thousands of coins come and go. I've seen what this space is like. I know what charlatans and frauds look like, and I know what a generalized billionaire disconnect looks like from the actual mainstream audience of normal people. A noteworthy aspect of Mt. Gox's repayment strategy is their decision to reimburse creditors in Bitcoin rather than traditional currency. This unique approach sets Mt. Gox apart from other cases, such as U.S. bankruptcy proceedings of FTX. It says, by opting for Bitcoin repayments, Mt. Gox aligns with the principles and values of the cryptocurrency community. Whoever wrote that, you're clearly new to the market as well. The reason why they're giving back Bitcoin is because people were suing them. That's the only reason. This has gone on for a decade. Around 2018, one of the ideas was that they're going to get their money back. And everyone was like, cool. Do it while the market is going down. It'll add additional selling pressure, maybe, but we'll be done with it by the time we have the next halving. 2020, 2021, here we go. And then these people were like, I don't want cash, I want my Bitcoin. And then people looked even further into it. And I think there was one lawyer, like literally one lawyer in Japan who was handling all of this. And the idea was at some point to give these people only 40% equivalent of their Bitcoin, but in cash. And then that became 60%, that became 75%. And then the idea was like a full 100% repayment. And now they're simply just giving them back the Bitcoin. It should not have lasted this long. Can you imagine, heaven forbid, you lose something very precious and valuable, and there is a 10-year discussion as to not only if you should get it back, if someone should sell it for you and then give you a fragment of what it's actually worth. Very popular news right now. It is kind of all over the place. Maybe you've stumbled upon it over the course of the last few weeks. It is going to continue to be in the news. I'm expecting psychic. I don't know why I made that noise. That was the sound of my brain doing psychic stuff. People are going to be talking about this will have a negative effect on the market. What's going to end up happening is people will probably sell because I think people just want to lose their Bitcoin. I'm almost convinced that people don't want as much as they have, and they're confident that they're able to like sell into news or sell into something that's happening and then buy back up at a lower price. But you know, it's your money, do as you will. And then the price will go back up once we begin to hear that either not a lot of them sold and or they sold over the counter has been the idea for the past like 5 or 6 years. Yeah. Very popular news floating around. We'll see what ends up happening. And I guess we needed the approval of Adam back so that we're not all terrified. But so few things in this market actually happen that have a gigantic detrimental effect on us or the market, or rather should not. The issue is that everyone else ends up being terrified. So people end up selling when they hear that Grayscale selling. They end up selling when they hear that something is happening to FTX or to Alameda, or they can't get their coins out of Coinbase. Always educate yourself as best you can. It does pay off, especially in the future. That's the Mt. Gox repayment news. And yeah, let's move on. Sure. Why not? That's how that works. The chief executive officer of Ripple is certain that other cryptocurrencies will follow in Bitcoin's footsteps on their way to spot exchange traded funds. The last week, 10 days, has been a moment that should have been lightly or very joyous within the cryptocurrency space. But it was marred with the news of Grayscale continuously selling coins onto the market. The other issue is that no one was able to fully enjoy the Bitcoin ETFs because immediately after, from prices dropping, we had news that allegedly Ethereum and XRP were also going to get ETFs as well, which then morphed into Larry Fink talking about Ethereum ETFs, and he was saying that he was relatively optimistic on them happening. We had a lot of other people on CNBC who were talking about that they were expecting Ethereum ETFs, and then that led us into the news that the ETFs for Ethereum had been delayed by the SEC, which is normally the case for ETFs in general regarding the cryptocurrency space. That then led to speculation from a lot of people. I don't know where this came from, and I don't understand how people use the internet. A lot of people assumed that XRP was going to get an ETF because Grayscale also holds XRP, and therefore people were like, well, they're going to convert their fund into an ETF as well. And then people were asking the company Ripple when they were going to have an ETF, but the company Ripple can't create an ETF for XRP as far as I understand, because that would basically be them kind of considering securitizing the thing that the SEC said was not a security. So you would have to have another company doing it. That turned into people talking about that an XRP ETF was imminent. That turned into Larry Fink, the CEO of Grayscale, saying that they had no immediate plans to issue an XRP ETF. This has led us to the moment where Brad Garlinghouse has said that is basically it's going to happen. Other coins are going to get their ETFs. I don't know why we can't just be happy for Bitcoin and the potential of Bitcoin going up in price dramatically. 400K would be phantasmagorical. And then also having other altcoins going up as well in crazy price movements. In a new interview with that's CNBC, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse says the possibility of an Ethereum ETF and others is a certainty. He said, and I quote, "It's a certainty. I'm not going to put a horizon on the time, but I think there will be other ETFs for sure. There will be other ETFs for sure." Brad, if you ever get a chance, I mean, this will only probably waste time in your life. If you ever get a chance, look at some of Brad Garlinghouse's speeches or when he talks. He re-says words a lot. He'll say something and then he always re-says it, kind of re-emphasizing it, but it's always he'll be like, "There's a bird in that tree. There's a bird in that tree." He's been doing it for years. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just I don't know. As far as I think there will be other ETFs for sure. There will be other ETFs for sure. Anyway, however, according to the Ripple Labs CEO, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission approved a Bitcoin ETF only because a court forced their hand. That is extremely true. It's only, golf clap for, it is a light golf clap for Grayscale. The reason why we have ETFs is basically because of their lawsuit against the SEC. But then in an heavily ironic twist, the reason why the market is going down, is moving ridiculously, is because of Grayscale selling. You get some, you lose some, you get some, you give some. We don't have a lot. Only because a court forced its hand. Garlinghouse hopes other cryptos don't have to jump through the same regulatory hoops, because that would be absolutely terrible. Imagine if we had to wait another decade for Ethereum ETFs and then another decade for XRP as well. It's a lot of nonsense. He said, and I quote, "The sad part of that reality is we have a Bitcoin ETF only because a U.S. court said to the SEC, you're being arbitrary and capricious in your applications of the law. What would be sad is if every ETF had to go through the same journey. And for Gary Gensler to get, that's intense, okay. He says, and for Gensler to get smacked down by the U.S. court system again, okay, that might be necessary. But at some point, I think Gary Gensler won't be the chair of the SEC. That's how it usually works. That's, he might be gone this year. So that'll be a good thing for the American people," end quote. And I assume maybe he has the attention span of a goldfish, because I assume Brad Garlinghouse forgot that the person who ran the SEC before also put that lawsuit against them. So anyone who gets nominated for or is put at the helm of the US SEC is typically a terrible person. I would love, honestly, if what's her face, the woman with the hair, the Mary Gensler, no, the woman, the Mama Crypto. Why can I not remember her name? Hester Pierce. I almost said Jester Pierce. Hester Pierce. She's one of the only nice people working at the SEC. If she could be the head of the SEC, not only would we have proper regulation, we'd get ETFs like every other company has normally gotten them. But once again, the people who get put in charge always tend to be monsters. That's just the way that the world works out. So, no, whoever replaces Gary Gensler is going to be a terrible beast monster as well, and they're just going to be doing a terrible job, and we're going to have to wait a long time of stuff. That's why I kept on saying before, we should literally all be celebrating. I know prices aren't exactly where we want them to be, but the fact that if we don't want to, we never ever have to think about Gary Gensler again if we don't want to. The only thing that really mattered for the sake and the growth of the cryptocurrency market were the Bitcoin ETFs. And we got 11 of them. Not 1, not 5, not 9. We got 11 at the exact same time. So to sit there and be like, well, now other coins need them is nonsense. We should all be extremely happy because he did the thing that we needed him to do. He can go away to the top of his mansion on top of a hill with his hairless cat that he pets in darkness, and we only see him like when there's like a lightning strike or something, go boom, 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 and then we see him and we're like, oh, there's old man Gensler. Anyway, yeah, of course this made popular news. This if this didn't, I would have been completely shocked. First of all, it has to do with Ripple, it has to do with the SEC, it has to do with Gensler, and it has the letters ETF, which is all that anyone's still talking about right now. So and I've never been not optimistic. I know I have days that are like a little bit lower dealing with the whole grayscale stuff, but I'm still extremely optimistic about this market. I try not to hold my breath. That is to say, the prospectus of a $300,000 to $600,000 Bitcoin, while intriguing, I try to stay as realistic as possible, but me and my friends, as always, have tons of conversations as to the what would happen to the market if that event does take place. I think we'll be doing extremely well, especially as Grayscale can't sell forever. They will have to stop and or slow down at some point. The market will move back up. The ETFs are doing extremely well. We are moving closer and closer to the halving. The fact that if this is another quick year, I'm going to kind of be like a little bit, it's bittersweet. I want us to be in full force of the bull market, but I'd also like to enjoy my life. Like every time I wake up, like 4 days have passed by. I'm not understanding what's happening anymore. Like everything's just moving really, really fast. Anyway, I'm done blabbering on. That's the Ripple Labs Certainty ETF news. I think that's also going to do it for this video. I hope you've all found time recently to relax, to do something nice. I know I keep saying it more and more. It is very important. I see people on Twitter and online kind of losing it sometimes. The anger's not there as much anymore. You can't believe how nice it is to look at comments or go onto Twitter and see people not calling me names. Very warm, fuzzy feeling. But we all still need to take time to literally care for ourselves. It is incredibly important, especially when dealing with the market like this. We've all been together for a while, so, you got to take care of yourselves. I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I do hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever the heck you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and or supporting. And I will most certainly, or certainty, boom, boom, be talking, I'm weird, to you all soon. See you.